Hello, welcome and welcome back here on Italian Oraculum. This is a flip through of the second edition of the Terra Volatile Tarot. You've seen me unbox it in several videos before this one, and I would say we can start. So this is the entire deck, both the standard, we could say basic tarot, and the expansion pack. And I'm not going to talk about any of the cards specifically. I'm just going to tell you why I love this deck, starting from the quality and the production. So I love linen finish decks. I am a rifle shuffler, so a linen finish is definitely something more useful and very much appreciated. The cards are a good balance between thin and flexible and thick and resistant. The coating is, as you can see, slightly reflective, but it's beautifully done, I believe. And another thing I love is that there are no it's not edged. I can choose if I want my cards to stay as they are or if I want to apply an ink or a color of some kind to them. Also, I believe that the standard tarot size is the best choice, considering these are beautifully illustrated cards, and yes, there are a lot of details, but at the end of the day, nothing is so small, so left. This is the M I added because this is the card with the error. So I know I said I wasn't going to talk about any specific cards, but this is significantly different as an M. And yes, I know it's not straight whatsoever. I realized I didn't want it. I wanted to see, to look at it later. I wanted to see this M popping instead of being disguised as just as maybe slightly different letter. I want it to be clearly handmade. This is the Misery Collector. I found it funny that this card was the one with issues, so I kind of decided to go along with it, we could say. So yeah, the standard size of tarot cards, I believe it's the best choice because it's big enough that we can see everything we need, but it's also small enough so that we are kind of forced to pause and look really closely to what we are seeing, to what is represented, and that's something I believe this deck deserves. Now, from an aesthetic point of view, I love the fact that this looks like a colored version of classic stamps, like Gustave Doré, for example. He's one of the most, I believe, well-known classic producers of this kind of art form, but it's also very classic paintings, both with the subjects and the lines and the rendition of the color. Like I know there are no lines for the shadows, so why do I get the stamp? For example, these clouds, you can see there are lines and there are these black and white characters. I believe it's a combination of both, but you can, at least aesthetically, and you can find all these visual clues about metaphors that were used at the time in those paintings to communicate certain things. There's a lot of symbology in this deck, and I believe the artwork blends it beautifully with everything, with the lines, the colors, the backgrounds, the subjects, everything. These sort of geometric lines that are part of the image, but they are clearly not part of the space. I believe it's beautiful. Also, I prefer this sort of muted color palette, so that's a really good choice. As I said, I don't love this. I don't love browns, and this is almost a slightly, I want to say purplish brown on the back, but I mean, it's fine. Now, of course, there are a couple of cards I may not really resonate with, I may not really like, but that's beside the point. The deck overall is beautiful. Now, when it comes to the concept itself, I have learned recently that I really love expanded tarot. More than traditional tarot, more than oracles, more than Sibylla style decks, I enjoy seeing a tarot with alternative cards which I can keep in the deck, or an entire new suit in the minors, or new majors, like anything, as long as it is more than the traditional 78 cards with meaning, not just a couple of, like in this deck there is a yes and no, and I believe you are asking the wrong question cards. Like those three alone are not really going to give me what I need. I would probably take them out of my tarot, but at the same time, in a situation like this where I could potentially use all the alternatives, at least the ones for the majors, to kind of have a small oracle on the side, those three really work well. In this case, because we have all the alternative for the majors, some alternative for the minors, an entire new suit for the minors, sorry, I believe the three cards very yes, no, and you're making the wrong question, or whatever it says specifically, are a good add-on. Now, another thing I really like, and I'm not sure if I should put it in the aesthetic or concept category, but I like seeing different kinds of people, both in age, both in body type, and of course ethnicity or race. So both from the skin color, but also like something like this. We have a metal armor, medieval, and then we have just this fabric, just this more ancient Greeks, maybe, sort of covering, like, it's, this deck is really everywhere and nowhere and everything in between, both when it comes to the people and the time period and the kind of symbols. Like, I believe even the swords, there are no two swords alike, like every card has a different handle or a different style of blade, like there's anything you could wish, I believe, in this deck. And we also have all this sort of, like this skull with the two lower jaws is one of the two fools has it. So I mean, this, I'm not sure if it's just an aesthetic thing or if it's more a concept that was decided before they started to produce it and then adjusted their art style to it, or if they started producing the decks and they realized at a certain point that there was a theme going on. But I believe this deck is like this. Look at this sort of 1800s, late 1800s waistcoat, like it's everything. Like, I believe this deck, of course, now if I wanted to be nitpicky, I could say a bunch of cards have this color or this figure or this thing I maybe don't really connect with, don't really care for, maybe I don't really like, but it doesn't matter. This deck is its own thing, but I truly believe anyone can find something. Like even this card where the Jesus is present, but is kind of using the cross as a weapon. So what does it mean? And I also like the kind of quirkiness of the modern elements like shotguns or the microphones in the Emperor the alternative Emperor card, or the sunglasses I believe the Two of Coins had, and the tattoos. A lot of people have tattoos, and like, how can like these two cards be in the same deck? Like, yes, the background is a similar color, but she is just this color. He looks like a sort of computer graphic character in a video game, and yet I believe they go so well together. And I also like the fact that the alternative cards can be clearly kept in the deck because the titles are different, but they are similar enough that you can also choose to keep one or the other without necessarily having a problem with okay, is this justice or is it something else, for example. Now, of course, I would say this deck is not really the most beginner friendly because it's a lot. Even without going in all the little like I've noticed that all the kings have some sort of scar, some sort of healed over wound, except I believe the King of Swords, which has a blind eye. So, like, for example, understanding why all the kings are scarred or have some sort of physical proof they have been at war, they have been wounded. I'll be honest, I haven't read the meanings on the site. I am not sure I want to, because the way I read the minors, even with the suit of vessels, which is the spirit, ether element, not the one of the regular four, I can still read it without going after set meaning by the authors. But of course, this is the kind of things I would be like, I would love to honestly act. So this is one thing I can say about it, that it's negative. I would have given us the chance to download at least a PDF of the guidebook. If they did not want to produce a physical one, or if it was too expensive, they were afraid the cost would go up too much. I don't know, but I would love to have at least a PDF downloaded that I can print myself, or that I can like copy, paste, and modify, and then print my version of it without maybe all the meanings of the cards I already know how to read. That I would really appreciate, but it is what it is. So yes, we have the yes, the no, the you are asking the wrong questions, and then we have the chaos. Which, I'll be honest, maybe it's a little bit more visible here on camera than it is in person. There is I noticed there is a 0, so it's not a random card. It's an alternative for the Fool. No? Or is it? No, because there is no... They don't have numbers in the sorry. They don't have numbers in the majors, so what gives? Which, by the way, is another... Okay, I'm gonna keep it at the bottom. Which, not having the numbers on the majors, I believe it's another very good idea, considering the alternatives can be kept, and so you don't really go after the placement in a traditional deck. You don't get misled because you have two number 8s, for example, in the major arcana. So this was the flip through, and you've heard me ramble about this deck a little bit more. So yeah, it's, you see, she has the skull with the 2 lower jaws. Why there are skulls with 2 lower jaws? That's not normal. I want to know. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, hit the bell button, leave me comments, leave me likes, say hi, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye.